Hello everyone, this is Cody Nickel with Work Grow Thrive. Today I want to talk with you about why you might be feeling distracted at work. I think it's something that we all struggle with. I struggle with this. I think many who are watching this video also struggle with this. We live in a very distracting world, many things fighting for our attention. And I hope what we talk about today is helpful for you. I would appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel and like this video and even recommend me to your friends and colleagues. That would be very motivating and very helpful for me. So what's the first reason? Let's get right to it. The first reason is you might just feel overwhelmed and it's hard to start. This is, an emotional thing. So my advice here would be first to get your emotions under control. Try not to think about, for example, the overwhelming task. Shift your focus on your breathing for a few minutes. Use the box breathing method to breathe in for about 4 seconds, breathe out for about 4 seconds, and in this way you just calm down. Then let's say it's a big task, you don't know really where to start. Now that you've calmed down, break the task down, analyze it, break it down into small parts and just start. This is really crucial. When we feel overwhelmed, even trying to prioritize things can be difficult. So it's important just to get the ball rolling, to pick up some momentum and just start with anything. Just start. Then the next reason you might be having difficulty focusing, concentrating at work is that you're multitasking. And there used to be the teaching that multitasking is a good thing, it leads to more productivity, but meanwhile we know nowadays that that's really bad advice. Actually, multitasking doesn't help you to work more effectively or efficiently. In fact, if you multitask, things can take up to 40% longer than if you would just do one task, finish it, and then start the next task. Why do we tend to multitask though, and to get distracted and jump from one task to the next? An email comes in, then we stop what we're doing, and then we answer the email, or our phone is there, and we look at the message, and then get back to the task. So we're multitasking. Well, when we're focused, the two parts of our prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that's responsible for reasoning, for concentration, they work in harmony, in a focused way on one task. But when we're multitasking, what happens is actually the brain bounces between the two parts, the two hemispheres of the prefrontal cortex, and it's trying to do everything at one time. And in this way, you're eating through all your cognitive resources and you feel really tired. But the reason we like to do that is because the reward center of our brain, through this activity, the prefrontal cortex tries to seek novelty, new experiences. The reward center gets a little dopamine hit, it's flooded with hormones. And that's why we tend to do many insignificant, inconsequential tasks instead of just focusing on one main task, even if it takes longer, and just finishing it. So what can we do if we are having difficulty because we're multitasking? Well, the first advice I would give you is just to work maybe on the most difficult task. Consider, what is the most difficult task? What is the thing I'm avoiding? This is also known as, eating the frog, and just start with that. Another thing you can consider is, according to the Pareto principle, what is, the top task or the top 20% that will result in 80% of the results. So what are the high impact tasks? And just start with those. Another thing you can do is time block, really schedule out what you want to work on and when, and break up your day in this way. That way you don't have to think about what you need to do, but it's already in your calendar. You know what you need to work on and when you need to work on it. Another technique that's very common is the Pomodoro technique. This is where you work in a concentrated way for 25 minutes, then you take a 5-minute break, and after 4 cycles of this, you repeat. Then after the 4th time, you take a 30-minute break. So this switches between concentrated, focused work and also periods of rest. It's a great way to get through tasks. I would say even tasks you don't really like doing. Another reason why you might have trouble concentrating at work is that you're just mentally drained. So what you need to do in this case is make rest a priority. Take breaks, build in breaks. Our bodies naturally move from levels of high energy to low energy. And oftentimes we just sit in meetings, we're hungry, we push through those low energy phases, and we're not very productive at our work, and we're thinking we can't take a break, I have so much to do. But actually, if we would take a break, eat a healthy snack, get a little bit of rest, then we would work better. We would work more efficiently, we would be more effective, and ultimately more productive. Another thing that you can do if you're feeling mentally drained is to practice positive, constructive daydreaming. This is really, simply said, a way to let your mind wander. Let's say you're walking, you need to do something that doesn't take so much focus, like walking or knitting, cleaning, and just let your mind wander. It could be about your goals or something that happened at work. Just see what happens. And what research shows is that during this kind of targeted daydreaming, you get the most creative ideas. The most creative ideas come to you, and you're able to rest some. Another thing is that if you have difficulties in your private life, dealing with things, of course, let's have understanding for that. It's hard to focus at work, so you might need to just prioritize to take care of those things first. In research, we call this a spillover effect. If you're doing poorly, if you're not doing too well in your private life, of course, it's going to spill over to your work, and also vice versa. So you might have to shift your priorities, even in your private situation. Another reason, we're already to the fourth reason why you might have difficulty concentrating, focusing at work, is that you're just bored. You're not being challenged enough. So one thing that you can do when this is the case, if you're working on a task, like for me, it's entering data. I really don't like doing it, but there's a technique called tangential immersion. So you're working on a task that doesn't take all of your concentration, so you can add another task on top of that, or another activity on top of that to take over, so to speak, or to fill the rest of your concentration capacity. And so in this way, working on this boring task isn't so bad. So for example, while I'm entering data, I can listen to music, and the music that's playing in the background, it takes the rest of my attention capacity, it fills it up. And so I'm just, I don't have to think about it so much, and I can just work on entering the data. You can make the task also a little bit more enjoyable. Prepare your favorite drink, for example, and then you say, okay, let's go. Then you associate, doing this task with something nice, something that sparks a little bit of joy, makes it a little bit more pleasant. You can also make the task more meaningful. This takes time, it's not so easy, but you can build an association in your head. So for example, for me, okay, if I get this data entry done, then I know I'll stop work just a little bit early, then I can go hit the gym, or I can have time for my hobbies. So you associate in your head completing this task with something that is very meaningful and motivating for you. Another way to make tasks more meaningful is to use something called superordinate framing. So even if the task is boring, if you see how completing your task helps others to fulfill their tasks, so that ultimately everyone can reach a greater goal, then this has this influences you in a motivating way. You see the value, not just how your contribution completes the whole, so to speak, but you see even more how your contribution helps others to complete the whole and to fulfill a greater goal. So if you see how you fit into this framework, we know from the Gestalt principles in psychology that this also has, research shows this has a motivating effect on your task. And another thing is you might just have too much time to complete the task that you're working on. According to Parkinson's law, the time it takes to carry out a task really fills the time that you give it, that's available for it. So if for me, data entry, if I give myself an hour, it's going to take an hour. But if I give myself 30 minutes, then maybe I can get it done in 30 minutes. So try to give yourself less time to work on these kind of tasks. And when you feel this kind of positive stress, you feel the deadline approaching, then maybe it'll help you to concentrate a little bit better on getting this task done. And then the final reason why you might be having trouble focusing at work is that your environment is just super distracting. It's really a terrible idea to have your private phone near you at work. Really take it, put it in another room, put it in a drawer, put it somewhere that makes it hard to access. It takes really effort to access the phone. And trust me, probably 50% of the distracting problems will be solved. Another thing is you have to set boundaries. Sometimes there are employees who really like to talk a lot with you. Nothing against that, that's wonderful. It's good to have a positive working atmosphere and to be connected with the other employees, with your coworkers. But sometimes it's just small talk and it's really an interruption and it's distracting you from your work. Learn to, in a polite way, to set boundaries. Hey, it was great to catch up. Maybe we can catch up a little bit more after work, but I need to get back to my task now. Or, oh, I have a meeting. It was nice talking with you. Let's talk later. Or you can communicate with your colleagues. Hey, during these next 2 hours, I have to really work in a concentrated way. So if you all need anything, of course, we can talk about it, but let's talk in about 2 hours. This is my focus, my deep work time. Okay, so thank you for listening. Just to summarize in a quick way, reasons you might be having difficulty concentrating at work is you just feel overwhelmed. So it's important to take care of your emotions, break down the task into small parts and just start. You're multitasking, learn to prioritize and just to focus on one thing at a time. You feel mentally drained, really make rest a priority. Even try to let your mind wander, to do some daydreaming. That's called positive constructive daydreaming. You're bored, so you can make the task more meaningful or even give yourself less time to work on it to increase the pressure a little bit. And your environment is distracting. Put away the distractions, the things that really tear your attention, and learn to set boundaries. Please like this video, subscribe to it. In the comment section, I'll put some more links so that you can read the article that I wrote to go along with this video. You can have a little bit more of a deep dive there, and I hope you come back for more great content soon. Thanks for watching.